Ukrainian officials say Russian forces have targeted critical energy infrastructure in northern Kyiv this Tuesday. According to local officials, 3 strikes hit an unspecified energy facility. Now, the Ukrainian city of Zhytomyr is reportedly also without electricity and water this Tuesday, and hospitals there are reportedly operating with backup power after Russian strikes. For more on all of this, we can go across to France 24's Gulliver Cragg in Kyiv. Gulliver, good morning. What more do we know at this hour?
Well, as you said, the preliminary information from the authorities is that there were 3 strikes that hit their targets, and it's in northeastern Kyiv, the suburb of Troyeshino, which is on the left bank of the Dnieper River, the other side of the river from the city centre. So some distance away from the city centre, but from the area which is quite close to the centre where I am now, people in the street said that they saw a rocket flying over. And by my calculations, that means it was coming from a sort of northwesterly direction, meaning it was possibly fired from Belarus. And it was a rocket rather than a drone. Most of the attacks yesterday were in the form of these Shahid drones that Iran has been supplying to Russia. But that doesn't mean that they've completely stopped using rockets in order to target this electricity infrastructure of the country. And from what we know, the district of Troyeshino in northeast Kyiv is without electricity at the moment. The rest of the city does have electricity. There was a blackout for just a few seconds a little earlier, probably at the time of one of the hits.
Gulliver, for the past 8 days or so, we've been seeing, Russia conduct these strikes in the early hours of each morning. A couple of hours later, then the Russian defense ministry says its targets have been hit. It confirms that. Seems like this is a new strategy as winter approaches.
Yes, it does seem as though Russia is trying to destroy Ukraine's electricity infrastructure as winter approaches in order to create serious problems for the civilian population, which of course also entails diverting resources from the war effort and makes things just generally more difficult for Ukraine as it tries to wage these counteroffensives and take back territory in the south and east of the country. And although the Ukrainian air defense systems are shooting down a very large proportion of these Shahid drones, and even quite a large proportion of the rockets, I mean even as many as half of the rockets that were fired on Ukraine last Monday, so just 8 days ago, more than half of those rockets were shot down. That was in the biggest attack that there has been to date since this sort of campaign began in earnest. But nevertheless, infrastructure facilities are being hit. There is damage, and the power lines are running on reserve lines, and things are getting more and more difficult for Ukraine, particularly, I think, in the city of Zhytomyr this morning, which is 2 hours' drive to the west of Kyiv. A power facility there was hit, and according to the last piece of information I saw from the mayor there, the whole city's without electricity.
Indeed, Gulliver, thank you very much for that update. Gulliver Cragg reporting there for us from Kyiv.